So, folks, we gotta talk about a content creator or two. That's right. We're actually gonna be talking about two different content creators today. One called Metatron, and the other called Asmongold, because that's just how it is sometimes when you gotta talk about two different channels with millions of subscribers. So let's dive into it, shall we? The title of this Metatron video is Netflix is Indoctrinating Your Children. Let's take a look.
I know I'm safe when I'm with my friends or other non-binary people.
This is the same one?
Nightshades' pronouns are they, them.
He or she just doesn't fit who I am.
Wait, is this another one? Oh my gosh.
Oh my god. What? Oh wait, later on this video.
Yeah, and they're saying this is for
all a trailer.
7-year-olds and above.
That's crazy.
No.
No.
7-year-olds
No.
introduced to this ideology. No, they don't.
Ho ho ho. That's right, folks. We're reacting to a react to a react. That's right. That's the state of YouTube in 2025. Let's go.
Noble ones. The king is back. This requires celebration. I'm gonna get 2 helmets. We got the king in the house. We need 2 helmets. There you go. You can kind of see it.
Who's the king? Are you fucking talking about Asmongold? The guy who like wipes tooth blood on his wall and has like a rotting rat that wakes him up every morning with its stench when it is hit by the sun? Are you talking about the guy who had to like throw away half his bedding because it was covered in mold? Are you talking about the guy who had like roaches crawling over his like streaming setup? Is that the king?
Welcome home, Your Majesty. Alright guys, so apparently Netflix made a mistake. What's new? What's new?
The Netflix show CoComelon features interracial gay dads attempting to raise a baby as transgender who make the toddler dance for them in drag. I mean,
now, what's interesting here, I'm just gonna stop this right now because I guess Metatron has just like completely given up trying to like introduce videos or talk about a subject at all. He's just watching like Asmongold clips, like dude, that's gonna do something nasty to your brain. But number two, I gotta talk about what Asmongold is showing on screen. I'm gonna keep getting them mixed up because they're basically interchangeable in my mind. But he's showing a tweet from Ian Miles Chong. Now, Ian Miles Chong here has embedded a video of a show called CoComelon, and CoComelon's gay dads that's been a thing already. Conservatives already milked this for everything it was worth less than a year ago. Less than a year ago. It wasn't like it was like last year that they were getting upset that CoComelon had 2 gay dads. It's crazy. I also wanted to note one other thing here, which is that particular tweet has a sentence that Asmongold didn't read, which is Ian Miles Chong saying, "This is the woke version of Baka Bazi."
Oh no, not the gay dad milking.
Oh god. Sake Tanuki, thank you for the 5 tier-1 subs. And oh god. Jeez. Jeez. But what is a Baka Bazi or Bacha Bazi? All right. Let's look that up, shall we? Let's see. The Wikipedia page says it is a pederastic practice in Afghanistan and in historical Turkestan in which men exploit and enslave adolescent boys for sexual abuse. So, it's just really interesting that no one's really touching on that aspect here.
and there's no way this is real, right? I mean, like, there's no way.
Like they're basically like Ian Miles Chong is saying this is like a modern day like they're making a cartoon about these two men sexually assaulting their son, and like that's pretty fucked up, and no one is talking about that whatsoever. They show it on screen but just leave it completely unaddressed.
It's gotta be fake.
Thing that we know about you, you love to get up and dance. How about you break out those moves for your two biggest fans?
I'm sorry, it took me a second to figure this one out. This is made for kids.
Oh no! It took you a minute to figure that out? Dude, it's literally Coco Melon! Like, I'm sorry, this is like, oh man, I don't even know. I don't even know how to even contextualize this appropriately. Okay, you know what? I figured it out. I figured it out.
I feel like this is yet another example of projection, and it scares me a little.
Here you go.
Hi, friends! I'm so excited to learn with you today.
Wait a minute.
Look! It's a present!
Wait a minute. I'm starting to think that this isn't content made for an adult. Wait a minute. Is Miss Rachel's content for children? I thought potty training with Miss Rachel, toddler learning video, potty songs for toddlers, potty song, was gonna be for big boys and girls and non-binary pals. Wait a minute. Is this for children? I feel bamboozled. That's Metatron right now.
Crying out loud.
Also, unironically, if you do have young children that are struggling to learn how to use the potty, that video slaps because she gets like the cast of like Broadway's Aladdin to sing potty show tunes with her, and it's delightful.
If you're not sure what to choose, think about all the things you like to do.
My favorite part about this is they gave the black guy the Killmonger haircut.
Uh-huh.
You didn't have to do that. This is how you... By the way, this haircut is how you know this was made by white women. Guaranteed. Everybody knows it. I'm just gonna say it.
Just out of curiosity, I know nothing about Coco Melon. It was created by Jay Jean in 2006. Okay, but like it doesn't tell me anything about like who makes it. Okay, whatever.
It's so obvious.
Yeah.
Think about all the things you like to do.
Uh-huh.
Just be you.
Just be me?
Just be you.
When you're trying.
Can we just take a moment here that these two men are just like, without actually adding anything of substance to this.
Coco Melon, when Chanel decided to grow big tits.
Sake Tanuki, thank you for the 2 tier 1 subs. But like, these two men are just listening to this song and being like, huh, yeah, I bet this was made by white women. And like, that's their most significant criticism. Like, yeah, they're low-key vibing to Coco Melon.
To decide, think
Man.
about all the things you like to do. Just be you.
That's right, guys, because if you like girl things, it means that you're actually a girl.
So, yeah.
No, that's not what that means. The song is literally about not imposing gendered expectations on their child. So, like, my God, like, you watched the video clip.
So obvious.
Like,
Yeah.
Think about all the things you like to do.
Uh-huh.
Just be you.
like the child holds up like a frog costume and like a pilot costume.
What do you expect? It's made for their developmental level.
I mean, it really is. Like, oh, on the one hand, the tiara. On the other hand, the firefighter's helmet. And it's like, the song is about just like do what you want to do, like just do what you want to do. Like you can put on the tiara if you're a boy, that's fine. Or you can put on the firefighter hat if you're a girl. That is also fine. Like, these aren't difficult concepts, but somehow this cartoon that is made for, like, 3-year-olds is eluding them. They lack the analytical skills to actually understand a cartoon made for 3-year-olds. It is insane. Like, no. Like, the issue, and Sake Tanuki, I do thank you for the 2 tier 1 subs, but, like, it wasn't made for their developmental level, because if it was, they would understand it, and they don't understand it. So clearly, this was made for above their developmental level. They just never, like, got past 2 years old mentally, you know?
Just be you.
When you're trying to decide.
Huh. Yeah. They're choosing between a tiara or a beanie with a propeller on it. Clearly the two genders. Clearly the two genders illustrated.
Man.
All the things you like to do.
Next they'll be saying, hey, wait a minute. The words that are floating on the screen aren't actually there. Otherwise, the characters would be hitting into them.
Just be you.
That's right, guys, because if you like girl things, it means that you're actually a girl.
So yeah,
that's not what the song is about. The song is just about being yourself. God damn it.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, clearly a case of political indoctrination. We know that they've been pushing propaganda for years.
How? How is make an argument. Metatron, make an argument for what you're saying. Like, make a couple of, like, points that indicate that this is clearly propaganda. Because, like, you're not even doing that. You're just playing a clip of Asmongold playing a clip and then saying, yeah, that's clearly propaganda without elaborating on it in any way. Like, what about that was clearly propaganda?
Have been fighting it ever since the times of freaking Cleopatra, that was represented, not just her as black, but her entire family as black. False, they were Greeks, I will say it until I'm dead, sue me. Oh, it's Coco Melon, and now it makes sense.
Imagine being fucking aggrieved about Cleopatra in the year 2025. You just watched Coco Melon seemingly for the first time, not realizing it's for, like, newborns, infants, and you're like, ah yes, this is just like Cleopatra. In what way? Draw the trajectory of that for us a little bit.
Coco Melon is diabolical. I've already covered them, link in the description.
That's right. So if you like gardening, you're a girl. If you like cooking, you're a girl. Surprise! If you like...
Hey, Asmongold, where are you getting that from, that song? You played 30 seconds of a song that said be yourself, and you're, like, ranting about, like, literally the exact opposite of what the video is saying, which is that, like, just be you, like the things you like, and you're saying that that song is actually about forcing children into binary understandings of gender. That's not what it's about.
If you like makeup, you're a girl. If you like wearing a dress, you're a girl.
They first deny gender roles, and then they utilize the very gender-low stereotype in order to push the idea of a tomboy doesn't exist.
Oh my god, okay. Let's unpack that, because Metatron doesn't know what he's talking about.
Dress, you're a girl.
They first deny gender roles, and then they utilize the very gender-low stereotype in order to push...
Okay, they first deny gender roles. Nowhere in this video, this 30-second song about being yourself, are they denying gender roles. They're just two dads telling their kid, like what you like, we're not gonna judge you for it. And then, like, the kid is shown deciding what they like, and that's fine. That's actually great, right? That's not denying that gender roles exist.
deny gender roles, and then they utilize the very gender role stereotype in order.
This has the same energy as the Golden Rule's lyrics. This rule goes back to ancient Greece, talking about Caesar.
It really does. Oh God. So I'm sorry. I can already tell this is gonna hurt my brain. I'm gonna lose some brain cells here, folks. But then they utilize the very gender law stereotype.
The idea of a tomboy doesn't exist. The female is actually a transgender boy.
Well, no, because a transgender like boy or a transgender girl are different from a tomboy. What's crazy is they're making these arguments that like, oh man, girls can like trucks, boys can like makeup. Well, it doesn't make them transgender. And like, as a transgender far left individual, yes, that's true. Liking non-stereotypical things doesn't make you transgender. But also, and I'm going to throw out this mind-blowing fact for you folks, transgender girls can also be tomboys. Like, transgender girls can like stereotypically masculine things. Like, that's obviously true. Like, that's you can't be a woman and like boats. It's impossible. And like, they're the ones making the argument. Like, man, they are scrambled, and by extension, they are scrambling me.
In other words, he has just defeated the entirety of the inner logic of their argument.
Oh god, he's putting Asmongold on an intellectual pedestal? Guys, if you ever see someone put Asmongold on a pedestal and think that he's like good at arguing, he's not. Asmongold might be the dumbest man on YouTube, and I'm being serious about that. Or at least I thought he was the dumbest man on YouTube until I found out other people think he's like an intellectual giant. This is crazy. Yeah, never put Asmongold on a pedestal. He'll mold immediately.
It's so interesting to me that the people who always preach about gender identity and gender being a spectrum always assume that anytime that a kid shows an interest in something of the opposite gender, that the spectrum automatically goes to trans. Isn't that
if gender is a spectrum, then by definition at some point on that spectrum trans people exist, right? But also trans people and like people who acknowledge that trans people exist aren't saying that if if a boy likes playing with dolls, he's actually a trans girl. Like, that's not what trans people are saying, because it turns out gender's more complicated than that, i.e. sometimes a boy just likes playing with dolls. That can happen. And sometimes that boy, over time, starts saying to their mom and dad, like, hey, I would like to be called a girl. And that them asking for that is not because they play with dolls, it's because they identify differently than what they were assigned at birth. And that's the transness. That's a different thing than, oh, they like stereotypical girl things. The weird thing is, Asmongold here is tilting against the conservative understanding of gender that both he and Metatron share. It's nuts, dog.
Interesting and weird?
Yeah.
I think that's crazy. Why is that? Why is it that every single, like, if gender is such a massive spectrum, then why is every kid that shows an interest in something that's feminine automatically trans?
They're not. That's just not how it works. No, like you don't have parents going like, my boy, my precious boy.
I really appreciate the Harvest Dawn Oblivion NPC track in the background.
Right, I didn't even have to add that, Sake Tanuki. They're playing the NPC track behind themselves. It's honestly so on the nose. I had to make sure that I didn't leave like a tab open somewhere.
Every kid that shows an interest in something that's feminine automatically trans.
They're not. That's not how it works. You know, like even in Asmongold's like mind, how he thinks it works is that like a kid plays with dolls once and like the parent, the far left liberal socialist parents go, "My boy, my precious boy, you're playing with dolls. We need to bring you to the gender surgeon." And then they like bring their child to the gender surgeon and they're like, "Make my boy a girl. He played with dolls." And then like the gender surgeon, it like takes out rusty implements and suddenly the boy is transed into a trans girl, and then has to play with dolls. Like that's how they think this works, when in reality, how it actually works, for anyone who's remotely curious, you like a kid has to like come to their parents and be like, I think I am a girl. And then the parents go, "Okay, we'll schedule an appointment with your doctor." And so they bring their kid to the doctor, and then the general practitioner asks some basic questions. And if like it seems like this identification is persistent, they refer to a gender specialist. And that gender specialist then meets with that kid over time to establish that in fact there is a consistent identification with the opposite gender or with a different gender, because the entire purpose of the medical field at this point is to make sure that kids are consistent and understand like what, if they choose to go down this road, what the stakes might be, right? So establishing that consistency is very important because they don't want to do the wrong thing, right? Doing the wrong thing in this scenario, whether like it turns out like the person was actually cis or trans, doing the wrong thing can have hugely negative ramifications for like the rest of their lives. So you establish consistency, and then if like a kid is like 7 or 8 or 9, nothing happens. Like there's not a medical intervention that occurs. You are just meeting with a gender specialist to evaluate consistency in identification, because nothing happens until puberty starts. And then you go to that gender specialist and you're like, "Can we get puberty blockers so that we can have more time to make this decision?" And then the gender specialist goes, "Sure, okay, here are some puberty blockers." And then you can take those puberty blockers, you know, maybe let's say puberty for this kid starts at 10. You can take those puberty blockers for like, and honestly for like, usually around 6 years if you're 10, like until you're 16, or you can even take it longer if you haven't like made a firm choice by the time you're 16. Regardless, when you stop taking the puberty blockers, either your body resumes the puberty it was going to do initially, your body, like you start taking HRT and you have, you know, the correct puberty. So like this is how that works in a general sense. It is not, "Oh, my kid played with dolls, they must be trans." That's not how this works at all. Okay? Sorry, Jack, I feel I gotta ask, are you laying out the ideal scenario despite not having experienced it yourself? No, I have worked with children's hospitals in the past. I am laying out how that process actually functions. There are going to be outliers to how that process functions, of course, but by and large, this is how that process works for children. You need parental consent. You're not like having like a 10-year-old getting puberty blockers on the down low. You're not having like a 12-year-old going in for surgery. Like that's just not happening. Like your kid isn't like sneaking off to Planned Parenthood and coming back with double Ds. And like conservatives act like this is the case all the time. We're seeing it in this video right now. Like for those of you who don't know, I worked with a children's charity for like almost a decade, helping like sick and injured kids get, you know, access to medical care that they needed. By fundraising in the gaming community, right? And part of what got funded with that money were gender clinics at children's hospitals. So like I know a thing or two about what I'm talking about. But here we go. Believe it or not, chat, we are only 4 minutes into this video.
Based. Let me have a drink.
What is this? It seems like there's a little bit of a logic gap here, right? What is that? And anyway, it's discrimination? Well, I don't know.
Well, the Maxwell DeGroat, the reason the straightforward process doesn't seem to be happening for everyone is because conservatives are constantly out there spreading that misinformation, you know? And or like parents fight it because a lot of parents are not supportive of their trans kids, you know? And that is a deeply sorrow-inducing fact.
Oh, anyway, so this is another one here, and this is another kids show on Netflix. Let's watch this one.
Okay, yeah. Look, we got libs of TikTok here, and instead of posting like an actual clip of the show, it's like a film of the TV. Like they're just using their phone to film the TV. Because that's just the level we're operating on these days.
I don't know. Oh, it gets worse. Of course. Wow, I would have never expected that.
What did I just see?
Sorry, I gotta turn down this music.
Oh, what did I just see, man? What did I just see? What is that? I can't tell. Is that a show for adults?
This is really important for us to hear this dialogue. I'm sure it's going to be amazing.
It's okay. It's Oblivion. We'll forgive you.
I like Sailor Moon. Does that make me a girl? Yeah, it is. Go to your go talk to your doctor tomorrow, and you should start your transition immediately.
Extremely dangerous, by the way, form of propaganda, and I think everyone knows.
But no one is arguing that liking Sailor Moon means you're trans. That's not. Like, I'm sorry, the breakthrough realization for me, right? For me realizing that I was a trans woman and not just like a dude who liked Sailor Moon, for me was when I realized, oh wait, cis men don't constantly feel sad and upset that they aren't women. That's, like, if you're feeling that all the time, that is not... That's kind of like the biggest indicator that you are not cisgender. All right? I don't know what you might be. You might be like non-binary of some kind. You might be a trans woman. Who knows? But like if you think you're a cis man and you are constantly sad that you are not a woman, that's a pretty good indicator you're not a cis man, right? It wasn't that I liked Sailor Moon. They're relitigating 2020 Fox News transphobia. It is true. They've basically unearthed a bunch of like old like shows that had LGBTQ representation.
I believe we're kind of on the same line between when it comes to me and Asmongold, but when it comes to consenting adults, I don't care. You can do whatever you want. You can identify whatever you want. Live your life. I don't care. Unless you're one of those who tries to push me and force me into policing my language, then we're going to have a problem. But as long as you are someone who is, you just want to live your life however you want, I don't care. But when it's children, that's where we draw the line.
Start it as soon as possible.
When it's children, you should force them to be what you want them to be. That's the ideal thing to do to children. Just impose your will upon them and turn them into miniature recreations of yourself. That's definitely healthy, bro.
That's true. Though disappointing.
Hey, it's okay. I know I'm safe when I'm with my friends or other non-binary people.
Non-binary?
Does anybody not see the irony in talking to a machine, a computer, and then trying to tell it that it's non-binary?
Yeah, but if you understood the franchise at all, you would know that Transformers don't operate on binary code. Because they come from a fucking alien planet where they're animated by the Allspark. It's not... They aren't fucking... people with DNA. They don't have binary code. God damn it. They're fucking aliens, dude.
Suppose if it was a quantum computer, at least there wouldn't be irony in it.
Am I the?
It's not irony. If you're talking about transforming vehicles, like, I'm sorry, even if you're talking about a binary computer, even if you're talking about a binary computer with ones and zeros, right? Even if you grant that they have that coding inside of their bodies, they're literally machines that can transform themselves to look like basically anything they want. What the leader of the Autobots transforms into a fire truck. What do you, or a semi? I forget what does Optimus Prime transform into? It doesn't matter. Like, the point being, I guess like you've got like Dinobots. You've got like the not the Animorphs. There's so many different kinds of Transformers. A semi, okay. A fireman's truck, indeed. Yeah, Beast Wars. You've got so many different kinds of these creatures, and you're going out there and you're saying, oh yeah, no, they have to be men or women. You know Optimus Prime.
That's why it's called Transformers, not Sisformers.
Matthew H, thank you for the $10 Australian. But like, can you, like, basically they're like, yeah, Optimus Prime has a dick though. And like, can you imagine anything more off-putting or weird? Like, yeah, somewhere on Optimus Prime's body, he just has a gigantic metal dick because he's a man. He's a man. Autobots and Decepticons, they only have two genders, guys. Semi-trucks are boys. Everyone knows this.
Only person that, like, I mean, this is like meta. It's it's not trans.
It's meta commentary. Oh yes, it's so. Yeah, this children's cartoon is so deep. It's doing meta commentary.
Transformer, right? I mean, no. Okay, being trans and being non-binary are two different things.
No, they're not. No, they're not. Non-binary people are trans. Being trans just means identifying as a different gender than what you were assigned at birth. That's it. That's it.
That's different. And so, yeah, I don't know, like, that's crazy to me. But anyway, let's look at this.
I would like to underline one thing just for you, since we're talking about logical consistency. I just read an entire article the other day that was telling us about how it is important to disrupt and remove the concept of binary from society, of course, when they talk about gender. And they kept telling us, because binary is bad, binary, we need to remove binary. And then they keep, of course, talking about gender spectrum and people that are non-binary. Here's the problem with that, though. If you think that the problem is binary concepts, then I do get it that male and female is a binary concept. However, binary and non-binary is also a binary concept.
That doesn't undermine the point. Oh god. Okay. Yeah, okay. But like, that doesn't actually have anything to do with talking about a gender spectrum, man. Like, speaking of logic, I was reading a very in-depth paper the other day. It was about how you could either wipe your ass or not wipe your ass. But I said, what about if you only partially wipe your ass? Checkmate, ass wipers! And then I moved on with my day. Like, what? That had just about as much to do with what we were talking about as what he brought up.
So there's that.
God.
People who aren't female or male. Oh, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have assumed.
I always knew my pronouns felt right.
Pronouns.
What a wonderful
You all use pronouns! God damn it.
word for a wonderful experience.
So this is for kids.
Yeah. Oh, no, wait.
So Transformers, huh? It's for children? Huh. Who would have thought? Insidious.
I don't know why I just figured this one out now. I mean, I'm slow, I guess. Of all the cartoons that they could have chosen to push transgender ideas into children, they went with the Transformers?
Black and white are a binary concept, but some people say other colors exist. But have you considered green and black are also a binary concept?
He's so dumb. He's so dumb. Literally, you guys have been making jokes about that in chat the entire time. The entire time since the second Transformers came on screen. And he's just like, just now, wait a minute, trans and Transformers? What? God damn it. Nomi Sunrider, thank you for the $5 super chat. This is truly trying me in every conceivable way. Wait a minute, is this a show for children?
Oh, come on.
Wait, can we just take a look here, right? Transformers Earthspark. So, just to give you guys an idea of how deeply unserious these people are, they are getting angry actively at a show that came out in 2022. It has 3 seasons, chat. It's been around for 3 years. And they're just now deciding to be mad at 1 minute out of 1 minute of footage out of 3 seasons of television. Can we watch that instead? You can watch it if you subscribe to Paramount Plus, I think.
The Transformers. You got to be joking.
Please, for the love of God, I know it's not going to go this way, but I would love if it jogged, some kind of self-awareness from this guy. Because he keeps saying Transformers. Transformers. Alien beings that can transform their bodies into any kind of configuration? Up to and including terrestrial vehicles? I wonder if they have a more nebulous understanding of gender than human beings. Do they have in I don't know, in Transformer society, do they have car genders and boat genders? Are the different vehicles you transform into is that equivalent to their gender on their home planet? Wait till he finds out about the Beast Transformers. It's a slippery slope. First they start you out with the human Transformers, but then they start telling you that the car Transformers are all right. And then they start putting out the airplane Transformers, and pretty soon the airplane and the dinosaur Transformers are doing it with the Beast Transformers. Degeneracy unparalleled.
Mark, can you switch?
This is the same one?
Nightshade's pronouns are they, them.
He or she just doesn't fit who I am. My apologies. Please switch their piece.
Do 10 push-ups.
I've seen this one before.
Imagine being upset at the interaction that Optimus Prime just demonstrated. Where Optimus Prime is pauses because he's not sure what to say, and then they're like, oh, I use they them pronouns. He and she just don't feel right to me. And Optimus is just like, oh, sorry. Give them their piece. It's that simple, and these grown-ass adult men are incapable of doing what Optimus Prime just modeled in a show made for children.
So people are canceling a lot of their Netflix subscriptions. This really isn't that big of a surprise.
Yeah.
Again, I think this kind of stuff is very weird. And I think also, do parents really want to have that kind of stuff in kids' stories? I don't
Absolutely
really
not.
think so.
do parents really want diverse people to be represented in their media? I don't think so. This is the rhetoric of like a white supremacist from like the 1930s. Okay, this is the rhetoric of someone who like shits themselves in rage because there's an interracial couple in a Cheerios commercial. Something that actually did happen like 10 or 15 years ago. I remember it because I thought it was so absolutely bizarre that conservatives were so mad that an interracial couple would be in a Cheerios commercial, and yet a lot of them are racist.
I think it's pretty obvious, and this is also another big issue, is that like if I was a parent and I was watching this, I would be uncomfortable just for the sheer reason that it's very obvious that they're trying to push this idea onto very, very young people, onto kids.
This idea being what? This idea that you should treat other people with kindness and respect, even when they're different from you? Like, what is the objectionable thing here? Conservatives are bitch made. It's true. Thank you for the $5 Canadian, worshipper of Olympians.
And it's like trying to teach kids trigonometry whenever they don't understand multiplication, or they don't even understand adding and subtracting. Like, it's not that like the idea of being trans or non-binary, like if somebody is like an adult and they have some idea in their mind, like I usually generally try to respect what other people do and what they...
I usually try and respect trans people's pronouns, like Optimus Prime there, but like if they're a child, I wouldn't do that. It's like a weird ass take. But also, can we back this up real quick?
They want to believe.
Like, it's interesting that he brings up adding and subtracting, right? Like, oh, you're trying to teach kids trigonometry before they've even learned how to add and subtract. Are you trying to say that children like being trans is too complicated an idea for children to wrap their heads around? 'Cause that's not true. It's actually like you just saw Optimus Prime model the correct response in the show, demonstrating that it's not too complicated. Because it turns out treating people with respect isn't rocket science, and it's not trigonometry. It's not even addition and subtraction. It's more basic than that, actually. Like, the fundamental building block of humanity itself is being able to work together for the greater good, and working together necessitates being able to treat other people who are different than you with respect. It is literally the most fundamental skill to be a human being, but they don't get it.
The idea of being trans or non-binary, like if somebody is like an adult and they have some idea in their mind, like I usually generally try to respect what other people do and what they want to believe,
freedom,
and how they want to see themselves. It's up to
man. I'm so glad Metatron has so many unique and incredible insights to share in these videos. He's doing like wow. Like, what great contributions to the overall ideas in this video.
To them, right? They're going to do what they want to do.
Agreed.
And I'm not telling you have to accept it or anything like that. I'm just telling you, like, I don't want to get in at the end of the day, I don't want to get in an argument with somebody who thinks they're trans, trying to tell them what pronouns they need to use, okay?
Who cares?
I have so...
Sanford Neighborhood Watch. The greater good.
The greater good. I like that, like, several of you made that joke. It was... I like that we're all on the same page. The greater good. But, like, just real quick, so Asmongold just doesn't want to get into the argument, but he does think he should be able to tell trans people what pronouns to use? Like, in his ideal world, he's like the gender czar who gets to, like, assign people pronouns?
So many more things in my life that I give a fuck more about, that's not even in my top 50, okay? So I'm not going to waste my time arguing about this, etc. Adults, sure, but leave the children alone. Yes, exactly, right? And it would
damn right
make me uncomfortable as a parent when I knew that, for example, like the amount of stuff that like my kid is watching is being made by adults in order to normalize a certain gender ideology. Like,
not only that, but they are.
But like, you already have almost all media made by adults to normalize a gender ideology. It's just that the gender ideology that has been normalized for so long is heteronormative, like, gender stereotypes. Like, that is already the dominant ideology. It's why, like, but when Buzz Lightyear, the Buzz Lightyear movie has lesbians, they, like, the studio is, like, scared to, like, make them too important to the movie. It's because they're scared of going against the dominant gender ideology of heteronormativity. Like, that's, like, the media already has an ideological bent to it, and it is one that studios have traditionally enforced by censoring content creators. But, like, these guys don't actually want to do a deep dive on this topic or talk about it at all in any degree of depth. It's all surface level bullshit, and, like, you know, if Asmongold is surface level, I guess Metatron is, like, in a hovercraft. Like, he's so against, like, digging down into any of this that he's just, like, hovering above the ground.
Imagine this. So your children get this at school since very young. As the teachers are pushing this like maniacs. Same teachers, by the way, now are getting fired, luckily, because of course they laughed at the death of Charlie Kirk.
Oh, okay. All right. So your kids, imagine this, your kids go to school where they're learning that gay people exist and trans people are in the world and should be respected as equals and peers. Imagine that! Imagine if your children were taught that gays and trans people were human beings. Like, what? Okay. That sounds like a good thing, though.
Then they come home and you just leave them in front of the TV.
Well, also, wait. Teachers aren't being fired en masse because they laughed at the death of Charlie Kirk. And the ones that did get fired are now getting fat settlements from their schools because it's clearly a violation of their free speech rights.
It's just really a situation to see how much you need to really monitor what your kids are watching. And then they continue.
Well, yeah, you should be a good parent and pay attention to what your kids are watching. You know, if you just leave a child alone with a YouTube app, there's a non-zero chance that they could wind up stumbling across a Metatron video or an Asmongold video, and that's gonna fuck them all the way up.
The indoctrination, and by the time the kid is ready to go to bed, the seed in their mind has already been planted. Give it a year. Your child will think you're a bigot.
The seed of respecting people different from them will be planted in their mind, and suddenly one day they'll grow up to be slightly older children who realize that you actually want to discriminate against the gays and the trans people, and that will make them wrong for calling you a bigot somehow.
Not only that, but we know that the aim of this, at the end of the day, is to push them towards the surgeries. And when it comes...
What are you talking about? At no point in any of this have any of those cartoon characters talked about surgeries. At no point in any of that. Like, do you understand how big of a self-report it is that's saying that your child being taught how to show and demonstrate basic respect and decency towards people different than them would make them realize you're a bigot? Do you have any idea how big of a self-report that is? Dude!
So the activists and the radical leftists that do this, don't for a second think that they actually do it because they care about that minute portion of the population that is actually suffering from gender dysphoria. Absolutely not. They're doing it, one, for social control, because of course if they can indoctrinate kids in any way, shape or form, at the end of the day they'll end up voting for them. It's a matter of power.
What are you talking about? The trans people are teaching children to respect others so that they can get votes? So that trans people can win elections? What are you talking about?
Power. the societal redistribution of power balance, and recruitment into the cult. This is what it is. Because the...
What cult? You've already acknowledged that trans people are real. You just did that. What cult are you talking about? I'm sorry, like, as a trans person who makes content on YouTube and puts up with an awful lot of transphobic bullshit on a day-to-day basis, what superpower do I have in society? Is my superpower that I can't feel safe going to some states in the United States? Is that my superpower? Is my superpower being worried every time I go through TSA? Eat the poo-poo cult? I mean, that is genuinely the level these guys are operating on, Sake Tanuki. Thank you for the 2 tier 1 subs. Like, is my superpower just, like, being discriminated against by bigots? Is my superpower having freakish segments made of 2 middle-aged men going through, like, clips of children's shows to talk about how those shows teaching children to show basic respect and decency is going to destroy Western civilization? Is that my superpower, that I get just 1 billion identical clips like this? It's just terrible superpower.
Numbers are insane, and it's clearly a social contagion. No way you're gonna... I do believe that...
It's clearly a social contagion. Yeah, man, it's treating people with respect. It's a real disease. Clearly.
There are some people who are genuinely suffering from gender dysphoria, but the numbers are multiplying, and it's a social contagion now. That's what it is. That's what the data says.
That's not what the data says. There's literally nothing that demonstrates social contagion being a thing. What the data actually indicates is that as it has become safer for trans people to come out of the closet, more trans people have come out of the closet. And that is not a shocking fact in the slightest. Like, we've seen similar trends in, like, left-handedness, for example. Like, oh, we stopped beating children and treating them like they were of the devil for being left-handed, and suddenly there were more left-handed people. That's crazy.
It's a fundamentally very weird thing, and I think it's also, like, just really, like, you know, parents need to be having this conversation with a kid. You know, like a school. Also, just to note here, it's going to be important later. On screen centered here, you have MAGA voice breaking after Elon Musk told his 226 million followers he's canceling Netflix. The trend has gone viral of people posting their cancellation. It's time to cancel and boycott Netflix. Needs to be having this type of conversation with a kid. Like, there's a reason why interactions with children about sexual topics are so highly controversial, taboo, and limited.
Or rather than taboo, I mean, I agree with him, of course, up to this point, but I would like to say, no, they just need to be age appropriate. It's as simple as that.
Right? It's like, if you're a teacher and you're teaching kids this, you have to go through a bunch of different, like, you have to be a teacher. Obviously, it's hard to do. There's a lot of oversight for this. There's, like, a ton of people talking about how to do it in the right way. Yeah. And so when you just take all of that and you ignore it and you just make a TV show and you just say, hey, if you were addressed, you're a girl, I think that you're kind of skipping a lot of steps there, right? And yeah, schools should not. I think that schools should do sex education, and I think that schools probably should teach kids at least about being gay, like that it happens and that it exists.
Oh shit, I was muted. Yeah, teaching kids that, like, gay people and trans people exist and that treating them with respect is the right thing to do. He believes that should be taught in schools. That's great. But that was exactly the same thing that was being done in those shows we just looked at.
Exists.
And that you shouldn't bully another kid if the kid happens to be gay. I'm okay with that.
Oh, how magnanimous of you, sir, to not want children who are gay to be bullied. But if they're trans, though, the bullying builds character for some reason.
But this is not that. This is not sexual education. This is political indoctrination.
I'm not saying...
Yeah, this isn't sexual education. It's not like knowing that trans people exist and that there are options for kids who are trans and having like the social supports as a trans person, like lower the suicide rate of trans people down to being on par with cisgender kids. It's not like that, right? It's not like trans kids are like 14 times more likely to attempt suicide than cis kids. And by just giving them basic social supports and a community of respect, that suicide rate can be brought down to parity with, cisgender kids. Oh wait, no, that's exactly the case. That's exactly the case. If a kid has just one supportive parent, like their suicidality goes down to become on par or lower than cisgender kids. Likewise, if a kid has a supportive environment and they are trans, turns out their risk of suicide goes down. The risk of self-harm goes down. The risk of them being abused goes down. Like, fostering this type of community and this type of mindset is to protect kids who are different. To protect trans kids. And like, frankly, if you are against that, then you are just in favor of child abuse, which is nuts. But that's what these guys are arguing for.
Like for them to say like, oh yeah, like if you've ever, liked a guy a lot and you're a guy, it means that you're automatically gay. But they should teach, like, I think I think schools should teach about sexuality. I think they should teach about religion, because I think schools, their responsibility is to prepare a kid for the real world, right?
Yeah, and you know what else is in the real world? Trans people. Trans people exist in the world. And like, kids need to learn that trans people exist. I don't even mean in like they need to learn about trans people in health class, though that is definitely a part of it, but they also need to learn, if you're doing like world history, you need to learn about the fact that other cultures around the world have had more than two genders for like as far back as human history goes. These guys like are big ass baby men here, and they're like, oh, well, I don't want kids learning about trans people in school. It's indoctrination. It's like, I'm sorry, is it indoctrination to talk about the fact that India, one of the most populous countries on the face of the earth, has first of all a recognized third gender in the form of the Hijra, but not only that. The Hijra are in written documentation going back 4,000 years and more. 2,000 years before the birth of Christ, there are documented, non-binary people. So, if you don't want kids learning about trans people, you don't want them learning accurate history, which I would have thought, given the content of the Metatron video we covered last time, Metatron would at least pretend to care about. But he doesn't, He doesn't care about that. They don't want kids to learn accurate history. They don't want kids to learn how to treat trans people with respect. And it is directly because they are bigots. It is in fact that simple. It's not difficult to suss out what they're doing.
And I would like to say, when he says, because remember, he's not religious. I believe he's atheist. I am a religious man. And I appreciate that an atheist says this. Now, of course, there is a difference between teaching history of religion or teaching religion to children because you want them to grow up in the faith. And for instance, in Italy, where I'm from, it's a very Catholic country by percentage, right? Per capita at least. The teaching of the Catholic religion is optional in the sense that you will learn about history of religion, but if you belong to a different faith, like I had a classmate who's Jehovah's Witness and they didn't want that teaching, and so they could skip it and they would learn civic education on that hour. Or if you're a parent, you're like,
God damn it, I got muted again. I disagree. I think if you think your kid doesn't deserve a well-rounded education, you're just wrong. Your kid should learn about other religions. Your kid should learn that other genders exist in history and in the modern day. Kids should be taught accurate information that allows them to function in the real world. And these two men don't want kids to be taught that.
No, we're atheists. We don't want the actual teaching of religion to my children. They can opt out, even in a country like Italy.
Yeah, but there's a big difference when you're like teaching a kid in a church that it is true that like I don't know, like that there was a talking snake with legs that like convinced a woman to eat an apple, and now everyone has to die forever. You know, like there's a difference between teaching a kid that that is true and teaching about the general concepts of each religion.
I would still not opt out from the history of religion because it's also a cultural phenomenon that is important to study. But this is the key difference, and I will address it on a dedicated video. But the key difference is when a religious parent decides that they want to teach their faith to their kids, they're teaching it to their kids. And when an atheist parent decides, no, I don't want my children to go to a church, right? They want to teach them secularism, for instance. Well, they're choosing what to teach to their kids. But when a propagandist activist teacher decides to teach this propaganda, they're pushing it.
It's not propaganda. Trans people exist, ding dong. Like trans people exist. Like pretty demonstrably trans people exist. And like teaching kids to just respect people who are different than them is not a big ask.
On their kids? No, on yours. That's why we call it political indoctrination, because they're teaching something that you as a parent probably are not even aware of, and most likely would disagree with, if you agree with me and Zach, and yet their minds are being brainwashed because they think they know better. They think their kids belong to them, not you.
You're literally the one who is arguing that, oh my god, okay. Can we just take a moment to acknowledge that this man is arguing that like children belong to their parents, as in like parents own their kids, which is just such a disgusting way to like look at that. You know, like that's not what a parental relationship is. You don't actually own your child. You're not actually able to like mold your kid into like an exact facsimile of you. Like they're another person, and saying you own them is deeply weird and gross. It's always this children are the property of the parents shit. It always is. And it almost always is rooted in like this sick idea that like your kid needs to be you. Like you're like some desperate ploy for immortality.
And that's the problem. That's why we complain.
Like, that's the job that a school is supposed to fulfill. So a school should teach a kid about Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Hindu,
trans people.
Buddhism,
I agree.
Right? And it should teach kids about, you know, being straight, being gay, different types of like race stuff. Did
you guys hear he almost said different types of genders?
You know, being straight, being gay, different types of like race.
Different types of race stuff. But also, okay, so you're in a class, and they're teaching you about what it means to be straight and what it means to be gay. How are you doing that lesson? How do you propose schools do that lesson without talking about gender as a concept? Just out of curiosity, I'm wondering. I would love for these two to attempt to design a curriculum. I would love to see it. Because, like, how are you proposing, what manner of educational material are you putting together where you talk about what it means to be straight and gay without talking about gender? How are you going to go about doing that? I'm intensely curious.
Stuff. It should teach kids about, you know, the Holocaust, about World War II, about different genocide.
About the Holocaust, you say? What about that part of the Holocaust with the pink triangles? What about the lead up to the Holocaust with like the Weimar Republic and Magnus Hirschfeld? Do you want them to? Oh wait, no. You don't want them to learn too much about World War II or too much about the Holocaust. You don't want because that might involve talking about gender and like, you know, trans people. You couldn't have that. So you gotta cut off some of those topics, you know? That those parts of the Holocaust aren't important to learn, I guess. You know all those famous pictures of the book burnings outside of the Institute of Sexology? Yeah, not important to learn about, I guess.
It should teach kids about all of this stuff, communism, Soviet Russia, everything.
Absolutely.
Because that's what you need in order to have an informed citizen who can vote in a way that is beneficial for a country, right?
And what I would like to add to that, I totally agree with him, as usual, based take from Asmongold. But I want to say this is what I always refer to as academic neutrality, which unfortunately we've been losing because universities, schools are becoming breeding grounds for political brainwashing and indoctrination. We know this, it's proven, it's a fact, you can't twist your way out.
I love that this guy is just like, we know this, it's proven, it's a fact, you can't twist your way out of it. If it's so lock solid, like, you know, produce some like evidence to back up your assertion there, bud. Like demonstrate your point. But he doesn't do that because he's lazy as hell.
Out of it with lies and gaslighting anymore. But when I talk about the academic neutrality, it means you just teach the facts and you teach children how to think freely and logically, not what to think.
That's what
Okay, but like, you can think freely and logically and also respect the trans people's pronouns. These things are not in conflict unless you're a bigot, man. These things are not in conflict at all unless you're a bigot.
I would say. Okay, that's my fucking opinion.
Great.
I know some people might disagree, but that's where I'm at.
I agree.
And so that's it.
You guys don't have any idea where we're gonna go with this in a handful of minutes, but like I do, and it's wild.
Yeah, true, brother. But I think it's a matter of degree and order and age, right?
Yes.
Because teaching kids about this at 7
Schools
is very...
need to teach there are different types of alarm clocks.
Matthew H., thank you for the $10 Australian. Very much appreciated.
different than teaching them about it at 17.
Absolutely.
I mean, this is...
Okay, but like, just to pause you there for a second, kids at 7 years old already have established gender identities, number one. Because, like, they establish a gender identity by, like, age 3. Right? Just developmentally, like, by age 3, kids are like, I'm a boy, or I'm a girl, or I'm neither of those things. Generally speaking. But number 2, kids, by the time they've started school, understand basic pronoun usage, i.e., they know that daddy is he, and mama is she. This isn't a difficult concept. By the time they start preschool, they've learned this stuff. The idea that, like, you can't teach, like, a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old or even a 7-year-old that, like, oh, you know, some people, when they're born, a doctor looks at their whoopsie-daisy bits and says, oh, this is a boy, and just takes a guess. And sometimes that doctor is wrong, you know? And that kid grows up and says, hey, that's not right, I'm actually a girl. And then everyone's like, oh, okay, she's a girl now. Like, when you're 5, that's sufficient. That leads to a sufficient understanding of the concept. And then, like, a kid is just gonna go like, okay, that makes sense, and then they're gonna go play on the jungle gym because they're 5.
It's a very obvious truth that everybody knows.
Yep.
And so, yeah.
Like, it's not a difficult concept to communicate to, like, a young child. You know, as evidenced by the fact that oh god.
That's about it. And yeah, anthropology courses do not fit education's agenda, unfortunately. Well, I don't know. I mean, a lot of times in history classes,
man, dude, their audiences are dumb as shit. Their audiences are so dumb. Guys, anthropology classes don't count for education, I guess. Oh my god. I'm gonna
Sometimes
lose it,
Sir
bro.
Topham Hatt looks at a new engine and says, You're a locomotive.
Sometimes Sir Topham Hatt has a lot a man of many different hats. Ironically, thank you for the 5 tier 1 subs, Sake Tanuki. I'm gonna throw out just real quick here one of my favorite resources. Okay, when talking about this subject. So there is on the PBS website for their show Independent Lens, right? Or their series Independent Lens, right? They have this handy tool, which is an interactive map of gender diverse cultures. Did they update it? Yeah, here we go. Just like an interactive map of different cultures. You can actually see them all listed here. You know, you've got the Zapotec of Oaxaca, the Navajo have one, the Lakota have one, Thailand, Samoa, Indonesia has multiple, Tonga, Hawaii, Siberia, Albania, Italy, Ethiopia, New Zealand, Peru, Tanzania. You know, like there are just so many different, and this is by no means comprehensive, right? But like you've got so many different cultures anthropologically demonstrated to have more than 2 genders. And like these chuckle nuts are just be like, no, there's only 2. There's only 2 of them. Like it'll show you like a general area and like give you like a little blurb about their history. And like it's really, really cool and worthwhile.
Genders are like holes.
You know?
No one has more than 2.
Yeah, all people only have 2 holes. So I'm gonna link this in chat here for all of you, just as a resource to rely on. Because these folks, Asmongold and Metatron, are just ignorant as hell.
Because you have a lot of overlap, etc.
Yeah.
But yeah, they don't teach kids how to live at all. Yeah, I don't think so. But anyway, so that's my viewpoint on it, right? And like how I think that it should be approached. And so you have a bunch of people. Oh, is this another one? Oh my gosh.
Oh my god, 3 cartoons? There are 3 cartoons with trans people in them? Oh my god. Wait a minute, how many cartoons have cis people in them? Like, I'm sorry, but like, these people are weak. Like Asmongold and Metatron, these are weak-minded individuals. Feeble-minded, in fact. And I say that because they would have been destroyed by cartoons from like the 1950s. Like Bugs Bunny in a dress with a coconut bra on? Indoctrination! Like, these people are weak and pathetic. And stupid as hell.
How many of these are there?
It's not the park. It's me. I'm trans, Norma. And everyone at school knows, and everyone at home knows. And being here, it's like a whole new place. I can just be Barney. And I can
look at the. Did you say I can just be Bunny? Did you say Bunny? Look at the blue hair.
He said Barney
as well.
Oh, Metatron, excellent commentary. The blue hair as well. Oh, cutting observations here. Oh no, a scene of someone being able to be themselves in a new environment.
If and when I tell people, I've never been happier. And that's saying something when I spent today chased by terrifying zombie mascots.
It's weird to me that this type of conversation is even in a kid's show to begin with, right?
It's weird to me that a dog would be wearing a fez. Huh, that you mean to tell me that this dog understands the cultural significance of wearing that fez? Netflix is indoctrinating children to expect dogs to wear fezes. My god.
I mean, why is a gender conversation even in a kid's show at all?
Because kids, one, have complicated feelings about gender, bro. That's why. Like, it's not just a given. They don't understand what it is, because when a kid is born, they don't have built-in ideas about what is a boy thing or what is a girl thing. Kids don't have that. They are taught those things by adults. And that leads to like some really confusing things, because most adults aren't explicitly explaining how gender dynamics work to their kid. They just expect their kid to pick it up as they go, and not all kids do that. Number one. But number two, like, kids that do pick it up still struggle with, like, is it okay if I like a girl thing sometimes? And the answer to that is yes. But also, some kids struggle with it because they're like, wait a minute, I like a lot of these girl things and I feel like I'm a girl, but everyone's telling me that being a girl is less good than being a boy. And like, yeah, this is why cartoons for children deal with gender a lot, because kids have a lot of gender feelings and have a lot of questions about gender. And cartoons address that by essentially saying, hey, gender's complicated, and at the end of the day, all you need to know to be able to navigate that situation is how to treat somebody else with respect. You know? That's it. That's it. That is the fundamental message from these cartoons that they are complaining about and like bemoaning. It's just like they can't conceive of a world where like kids are taught to respect people different than them. That's it.
Like, I mean,
Molding the mind.
How long until we hear about the agender agenda?
Hey, you mean, if you go down south, you'll hear about the agenda. I tell you what, the agenda. We got an agenda down here.
It's still malleable. It's sickening. It's insidious.
Again, the idea that like adults only teach children things so that they can like, I don't know, I guess the implication here is sexually abuse them. Like, that's like when he says it's sickening, it's insidious, like I'm interpreting that as he thinks like adults only teach things to children to predate on them. But like, frankly, if that's your interpretation of teaching kids how to treat others with respect, that is such a big self-report. It's such a big self-report, bro. Like, you're the one making the sickening and insidious assumptions, which says way more about you.
It's pernicious.
What's interesting to me about this, and this is one of the reasons why I don't like having this stuff in media, is that it breaks the fourth wall for me. And I don't know if it does that for you guys too, but it breaks the fourth wall in the way that when I see this on a show, I immediately am kind of taken out of the escapism of the media, escapism of the fantasy, and I'm reminded of the fact...
Sorry. Yeah, but that's a you problem. Like, that's because this show was not made for you, as evidenced by the fact that the content creator who made this reaction video labeled it on Netflix for 7-year-olds, and I can't help but notice that Asmongold is not a 7-year-old.
That, wait a minute, I'm watching something that's being made in order for me to believe in ideology.
Yes.
You know, it like kind of puts my guard up.
Every piece of art reflects an ideology. Every single one. Like, I'm sorry, but like when you're starting to... what, Star Wars is political? Yeah, it's literally about overthrowing a fucking empire. George Lucas is literally on the record talking about how the original Star Wars had the rebellion based off of the Viet Cong. If a child is so young they still believe in Santa, they probably don't have a very good tenuous grasp on reality. Probably shouldn't tell them they can change the gender they were born with. Literally just confusing the child. Care to comment on the age you believe children should be learning about this? I think children have gender identity. Like, they develop a gender identity by the time they're 3. They're saying, I'm a boy. And if your kid is telling you, I'm a boy, then you should, like, call them he, him, and then let them play with what they want. If your kid is telling you, I'm a girl, call them
my escapism. What are you
she,
escaping
her.
from? Trans people?
Like, it's not complicated. And if they're like, wait a minute, my friend, I thought he was a boy, but they told me that, he's a girl now. What do I do? And you just tell them, like, oh, well, just use she, her pronouns. Like, simple as. It's not a complicated, it's not rocket science.
Why are they like this? Should we also be up in arms about VeggieTales indoctrinating children into evangelical Christianity, which they kinda do?
Well, I mean, VeggieTales is very specifically developed by Christian media groups to do that, yes. But ironically, one of my better performing videos on my channel is a video about Matt Walsh being really fucking angry at VeggieTales for not being bigoted. Which folks can check out if they want. But yeah, I'm sorry. The idea that like kids that already have gender identities and are like capable of reading like Matt Sat or Pat Sat books can't learn about gender, that's just silly. They've already learned about gender. Why are they like this? I mean, they're like this because they're bigots. Like, they're like this because they're bigots and they are grasping at straws to try and justify their own bigotry to audiences of millions.
A little bit.
Absolutely.
And it also makes me forget that, I'm watching something for entertainment.
Because you have a God, children don't. So I agree with him.
It reminds me that this is just simply a TV.
Yeah, like, I don't know. I can't speak for every trans person, obviously, but, like, by the time I was 5, I knew I was trans. One of my earliest memories is, like, playing in a way that I knew my dad would not approve of. And so, like, when he asked me why I was doing what I was doing, I lied. Like, and that was before I ever went to school. I had an understanding of gender and gender expectations and knew that, like, I wasn't fulfilling them the right way. But I didn't have the language to express that because I was fucking 5 and no one around me knew what a trans person was. BPB Alpha says something along the lines of, my sister is trans, she herself doesn't agree with children being taught so young. And, the thing is, trans people can be wrong about things sometimes. Trans people can be wrong about things sometimes, because here's the thing, people who are actual educators or who have studied education and studied childhood development know when a good time to introduce some of these subjects are. And you can start teaching about like gender identity when they start identifying with a gender. That kind of makes sense, doesn't it? Yeah, some trans people are transphobic. Being trans doesn't make all of your opinions right.
Like the willing suspension of disbelief that you have with a TV show or a movie or something like that, or a video game gets broken, I think, that when you incorporate a lot of these different types of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine a shit more.
Well, wait. So, like, if your immersion is getting broken because, like, characters in a setting are trans, that's on you. Like, that's you finding it jarring enough that a trans person exists that you stop believing a setting. Or you stop being immersed in the show, and that's a you problem. That's not, like, that's being feeble-minded and decrepit mentally. Like, yeah, you're gonna have different that again, this is no different than, like, someone who's a white supremacist saying, well, yeah, the second I see, like, a black person at a show, I lose all suspension of disbelief. Like, what? Grow the fuck up. Get over yourself and your bigotry, I guess. Like, that's a you problem.
The Rings? I mean, I'm sure. I don't know if they have any of that in Rings of Power. I have no idea.
Yeah, imagine if they had gender dynamics in Lord of the Rings, a series famous for its complete lack of gender roles and expectations. Did the Balrog have a dick or a vagina? Which did it have?
watch like the first half of the first season, and that was about it.
They will. It will be everywhere. They are trying to override traditional values in order to push their worldview onto each and every single one of us.
They're trying to override our traditional values of denigrating gay and trans people and replace it with the idea that gay and trans people should be treated with respect like everyone else. Terrible things.
Attack on freedom.
Like Veilguard, yeah, and it makes you realize that like you're not playing a video game, you're watching propaganda.
Yes.
He reminded me how important it is.
Do you have to be trans and left to be accepted? No, but you have to be able to back up your ideas if you're gonna enter into the marketplace of ideas. Okay, you gotta be ready for some some stalls to be overturned. Okay.
To live your life without apology. So I think I gotta.
And I think there's also like, and this is something that I think isn't really true for like the kids shows, but I think it's true for the adult shows, is that whenever they make these like kind of these like kind of asides and these like statements like this, there's a degree of it that's very patronizing.
Doesn't Gimli talk about how female dwarves look so similar to male dwarves that there's a legend that female dwarves don't exist?
Yeah, no, he literally talks about how like girl dwarves have beards and are expected to have beards. Also,
and these like statements like this, there's a degree of it that's very patronizing, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Where they're just talking down to you. They're telling you like, oh yeah, this is the way that you should be. This is.
I'm sorry, is he saying in adult shows? Wait.
Kids shows. I think there's also like, and this is something that I think isn't really true for the kids shows, but I think it's true for the adult shows, is that whenever they make these like kind of these like kind of asides and these like statements like this, there's a degree of it that's very patronizing, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Where they're just talking down to you. They're telling you like, oh yeah, this is the way that you should be. This is who you should be, etc. And it's an adult self-inserting themselves into the character. Yeah, exactly.
Well, you were just talking about adult shows, so adults inserting themselves into characters would make sense because that's literally part of the creation process for a show. But also, the reason there's a patronizing attitude around those scenes is because not a lot of people know what trans people are. Like, it wasn't that long ago that I was growing up, and I had no idea what a trans person was until I was like 15. On top of that, it's like, okay, do you think that the people generally writing adult shows, that is, shows for adults, have a good grasp on trans issues themselves? Because if you're talking generally for adult shows, they're written by like a lot of straight white guys writing shows, predominantly straight white guys, and a straight white guy, and again, if you're writing a show right now, you're probably in your, late 30s, earliest, maybe your 40s and 50s. Like, generally, people in that demographic and age group aren't gonna have as good of an understanding of trans people as, younger folks. And that's not to say that, like, straight white guys can't. It's just that in Hollywood, the straight white guys who are writing stuff are generally going to be a little bit out of touch with that subject matter. Like, if you see, for example, a trans episode of NCIS, if that's still a show anymore, I don't know. I don't keep up with these cop shows anymore. But if you see like the transgender episode of that, like, it's not going to be handled with a whole lot of tact and grace. It's going to be kind of like communicating to the lowest common denominator of their assumed audience. So, like, the tone is more a reflection of the writers being out of touch than it is like trans people being horribly cringe.
Like, I know that I need to treat people,
because generally trans people aren't the ones writing these shows.
people in a good way, right?
course,
I
of
know
course.
that I shouldn't really be rude to people, etc. So whenever it's put into a show, I feel patronized and I feel like I'm being talked down to. I don't like it.
Not to mention, then they will talk down to you through assumptions based on the color of your skin, meaning anti-white sentiment.
Doubt all you like, it doesn't change the fact. Your sister was put on hormones at the age of 5? What circumstances prompted that, BPB Alpha? Because, like, 5-year-olds aren't given sex hormones. Because that would prompt a puberty, and 5-year-olds aren't going through puberty. Like, if you're saying something like your sister had precocious puberty and was put on puberty blockers, that would make maybe a little bit more sense.
Now, that's on Netflix.
Yeah, but like, okay, so like a hormone blocker is literally the opposite of the thing you said. Like, it's literally the opposite. When you said my sister was put on hormones at the age of 5, a puberty blocker is a hormone blocker. Does it not change the child? No. It stops precocious puberty. Cisgender children are given puberty blockers to stop having puberty too early at a point where, like, their bodies would be harmed by it. So if it doesn't change the child, why is it given? Because puberty blockers block puberty from occurring. The name is self-explanatory. So if like a 5-year-old is going through a bodily change that isn't supposed to happen until they're like 12, yeah, they're given a puberty blocker because otherwise their body's going to get all fucked up. Like it blocks the hormone receptors so that puberty doesn't happen. And then when puberty is supposed to happen, you stop taking the puberty blockers and then normal puberty happens. I would encourage you to maybe have a conversation with your sister, because it sounds like you do not quite understand what was going on there. Like, and I am going out on a limb here and just granting that your sister at 5 years old was having precocious puberty. That would be one of the earliest dates I've ever heard in my life.
Netflix, and it's called Dead End Paranormal Park.
Dead End.
So you can see Netflix series.
2
Dead
seasons
End
too.
Paranormal Park.
2
Season 1, Episode 2, The Tunnel. And see that TV Y7? That's telling you this is rated for 7-year-olds and up. Now,
Yeah, 7-year-olds are in like 2nd grade, bro. You say like elementary schoolers can't be learning that like trans people exist? Like, what the hell?
I thank this. I don't know this guy's name. I don't know who he is, but thank you for bringing this to our attention, brother. Really appreciate that.
I'm not sure why a 7-year-old needs to be introduced to trans ideology.
Me either.
Because maybe they're trans, and maybe seeing them reflected in a show might mean a lot to them. Because when I was a kid, there were no trans characters on television whatsoever outside of 2 shows that I can think of. One was the Maury Povich show, where they would show fashion shows of trans women and cis women, and the audience would have to guess which was a man and which was a woman. So that was the one time I saw trans people in media. The other time I saw trans people represented in media was on the Jerry Springer show, where people are just brought on to yell at each other about affairs and then try to beat the shit out of each other. And like, maybe those aren't healthy to be the only way you see a kind of person that you are. You know, maybe that's actually kind of fucked up. That was a theme of a Maury show. Tempered Tide, it was an entire subgenre of the Maury show.
Exactly.
Seems a bit
Not just
young.
like one, but like
this is
multiple.
live on Netflix, and again, they're saying this is for 7-year-olds and above.
That's crazy.
No.
No.
7-year-olds
No.
introduced to this ideology. No, they don't.
No.
What if they are trans, though? Like, you're saying no 7-year-old needs to be introduced to this ideology. What if they're trans, though? then maybe they might need to understand that.
Obviously not.
Preach,
What are
brother.
you doing? Parents, pay attention to what your children are watching.
Exactly.
They're sneaking things like this into shows.
She thoroughly hates the conversation at this point. I know it's to believe, but she went through the surgeries and has some pretty extreme regrets. Well, BPB Alpha, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt and say, okay, yeah, all right, you have a sister who did puberty blockers at 5, which wouldn't have anything to do with being trans, just as an FYI. That would have to do with precocious puberty, because 5-year-olds, even if they are trans, are not given puberty blockers. But then, okay, so your sister went through with surgeries and has some extreme regrets. Okay, let's talk about that, because there are people who do transition and then do regret it. However, that transition regret is like 1% or less. It might actually be like 0.1%. And to put that into perspective, the people who get heart transplants that save their life have a regret rate of 60%. Like 60% of people who have heart transplants that save their lives regret that surgery. And so there are some people who detransition, and they deserve all the respect and all the love in the world. But at the same time, trying to deny an entire group, the 99.9% for whom this would be necessary and appreciated care, access to said care because of 0.1% regret. I mean, basically at that point, you'd have to say, if that's the standard, there should be no surgical interventions whatsoever. There should be no, medical interventions whatsoever, because the regret rate for almost every single medical intervention known to man is higher than gender-affirming care.
Yeah.
Also,
They do. They sneak it into shows all the
That's the guy, guys. Jeffrey Med. I don't know, I'm sorry. But cool.
time. And it's like, they're talking about something and then there's like...
I believe it's necessary, just not for youth. No, but youth need to know that trans people exist, because trans people do exist. And a youth might encounter trans people in the world, or have trans people in their family, or might be trans themselves. Like, this is just something that kids need to know, the same way, like, they need to know that, like, gay people exist, because they might be gay, or they might know someone who's gay. And they should be able to know that that's okay, and that they should treat those people with respect. It's not that difficult to concept, right? And you're acting like, oh, you need your brain to be fully developed to understand, like, gender. And you don't, actually. You don't need your brain fully developed to learn how to read, or do math, or, like, understand biology, or, like, do any of these things. You don't need your brain fully developed for any of those. You don't need your brain fully developed in order to read, like, Tom Sawyer. Okay? Or, like, some of the classics of literature, You don't need your brain to be fully developed to understand basic concepts of how to respect other people. None of those examples is a life-changing decision, though. Yeah, but here's the thing I'm putting forward to you, which is that none of the medical interventions for trans people are done before they are old enough to make that choice. Like, if you're like, oh man, knowing about trans people is a life-changing decision, it's not a life-changing decision to know that something exists. All right? And you're like, well, okay, at 5 and 7, they could get on puberty blockers. Okay. And what? Like, just on the off chance that, like, they get on puberty blockers. Okay, so they're not having puberty. What is the bad thing that is going to come about now? Knowing they exist and confirming their beliefs at the age of 5 are different things? I'm sorry, but when you learned about something at the age of 5, did you continue to learn about it, or did you learn about it in its entirety? Like, when you learned about cheetahs at the age of 5, did you learn about, like, their entire birth, life, and death cycle? Or did you just learn cheetahs? They have spots and can run really fast. Because what I'm putting out there is at 5, you learn basic information, and then that information grows as you grow older and are capable of understanding more. It's not difficult to understand. You, like, at 10, you learn more in-depth facts about cheetahs than you did at 5. Exactly, so the information is still growing. Yeah, but that's the point I'm making, which is that when you teach, like, the same way if you're teaching sex ed to a 5-year-old, you aren't showing them diagrams of people having sex. You're not like explaining different condom configuration. You're not doing that. But you are teaching that, like, if you are teaching like a sex ed like lesson to a 5-year-old, you're teaching them the names of anatomy and that you shouldn't let strangers touch them, and like stranger danger is a thing, and what should you do if a man tries to lure you into a car. Why would you teach sex ed to a 5-year-old? So they don't get sexually abused. Have you never thought about this? Or, like, if they do get sexually abused, they can articulate what happened to them so that their abuser can be caught. Never once have I said they shouldn't be learning these things. Just confirming their naive beliefs is wild. But okay, in your mind, what is confirming their naive beliefs mean? I am leaning more towards the idea that you are a troll, but I think this conversation is valuable to people who might not be trolls and might have genuine questions, which is why I'm entertaining it. But like, what in your mind, what does it look like to confirm the naive belief of a child? To some people, sex ed equals teaching how to have sex. That's how narrow their idea of sex ed is. Exactly. And like, that is what a lot of people think, but like, if that's what you think sex ed is, you just don't know what you're talking about. Like, I'm just saying, if you're not saying they shouldn't learn these things, in your mind, what is confirming their naive ideas? What is that bad behavior that you are trying to articulate? Because you're doing a bad job. I want you to do a better job articulating. You can't have these antibiotics until your brain is fully developed for you to know if you're comfortable with the risk of an allergic reaction. Good luck with the sepsis, Lamau. Oh, God. Heard they're teaching first graders math. Why do first graders need to know calculus? That is really how it comes across, right? I already knew about sex at 12. Nobody had to teach me. You understand that, like, not only in sex ed do they teach about, like, what sex is, but they teach about how to be safe and how to not, like, get abused. Teaching a child is perfectly fine. A child thinking they're the opposite sex and actually confirming it to them is different from simply learning. Confirming is not teaching. Okay, but, like, what do you think happens? Like, in this scenario, like, a kid comes to their dad and is like, Dad, I know that you think I'm a boy, but I feel like a girl. And then the dad is like, okay, we'll use she, her. All right, so then what happens? Like, in your mind, what do you think is downstream of that? What is downstream of a dad saying, all right, you said you think you're a girl, we'll use she, her pronouns. I'd say, okay, sounds good. Let's come back to this in a few months and see how you feel. Okay. You come back to it in a few months, and they're still saying, Dad, I feel like a she, her. What do you say then? Wish I had information on trans people in high school. Could have used that information early on, right? Would have been really helpful. Would have saved me a lot of trouble. Your chat is so wild. Just answer my question. I'm wasting time on this because I think it's a valuable interaction, but like I would like you to hurry up a little bit. because otherwise I'm losing the will to engage in the conversation. So like so you're like, okay, come back in a few months, we'll see how you feel. Your kid comes back in a few months and says, Dad, I still feel like a she, her. What does that mean? What do you do? Notice how all these scenarios people put out about the dangers of teaching a kid something are literally the same patterns that are already in place, indoctrinating children, teaching them racism, teaching them bad things, etc. Okay, BPB Alpha, I'm gonna have to insist that you answer my actual question. And if the next thing in this chat isn't an answer to my question, I'm like, we're gonna have to move on. I'm giving you part of my time, and it's been like 10 minutes of me waiting for you to answer a pretty simple and straightforward question. Your kid comes back to you in a few months and says, I still feel like a she, her. What is your response then? I'd say, why do you think that? And they said, I just feel like that. I feel more comfortable identifying with she, her. Makes me feel better. What do you say? Words straight from my sister who's on the phone right now. Okay, but like, what are the words? You didn't write the words, man. Just you just silently sat there and stared at your child for like a full 2 minutes. Okay, so your trans sister would prefer that the dad says, no, you're a boy. Fuck off. Okay, alright. Do you think that that's going to help that child? Do you think that like trans kids who are told, no, you're cis, you're actually a boy, do you think that untrans them? Wholeheartedly, yes. I can guarantee you every single trans person you've ever met or seen in your life has been told that they are not actually trans and are actually a different gender. I can guarantee you that, and it has never ever worked to make people not trans. That has never succeeded in the history of like trans people existing. That has never stopped someone from being trans. They got convinced into it. They can get convinced out. Are you people for real? You guys really think like these children got essentially debated into being trans by cartoons? That's your argument? Are you being so for real right now? You guys, Optimus Prime debated me into being trans. I'm 12 years in and I have breasts now. What do I do? Optimus Prime, why did you betray me? Like, god damn, you guys. You're acting like the 1% with regrets don't exist is kind of sickening. No, but I'm not acting like that. You're saying, essentially, parents should abuse their children off of the 1 or 0.1% chance that they're not actually trans. If you're on your deathbed and I hand you 2 different options to save your life, one has a 99% success rate and the other has a 1% success rate, are you honestly telling me that you're gonna go with the 1% success rate solution? Are you being so for real right now? Like, genuinely. That's essentially what is being offered. You have a method that has a 99% rate of positive outcome or a 1% rate of positive outcome. And you're like, well, let's roll that die. Yeah, let's roll that 100-sided die. For sure it's going to come up with the 1. Are you kidding me? Like, if you're upset at how people in chat are being, like, rude understand, like, your position is pretty rude. Let's just roll the 100-sided die with all neutral options. That's not how this works, actually. We have a 99% approval rating for one intervention and a 1% approval rating for another intervention. And you have to choose one, because you can't not. That's kind of how it works. Like, you can't just be like, what if we pretended the situation was different, though? No, this is the situation. You either are choosing a medical intervention that has 99% success rate, or the medical intervention that has a 1% success rate. And you cannot tell me with an honest face that if it was you and your life, you would choose a 1% success rate operation over a 99% success rate operation. No fucking person on the planet would do that. No one. So please just chew on that for a little while. I'm gonna be done interacting with you now. I would choose no operation if no operation is necessary. You're just saying you'd go with the 1%. 1% success rate, and that's just insanity. Like, I'm sorry.
It's almost like a it's kind of funny to say it like this, but it's true.
What if I just ignored the fact that I have Ebola? Maybe God will save me. That's essentially your take right here. Crazy.
Almost like a commercial. It's like a commercial. It's like, hey, by the way, we interrupt your programming for the normal TV show to bring you this ad for being non-binary.
And don't forget that on Netflix, on the, I don't remember the name of the show, Black Mirror, they had a situation where they were trying to show how a teacher, they kind of rewrote her brain, and then so that she could live after an accident that she had. But then because they can't pay.
No, it's called an example to demonstrate the point, man. You aren't understanding on purpose, because you got a certain ideological knife to sharpen here. I'm done with you.
For the upgraded module, then they start adding ads.
It's not a terrible example. We have a solution that has the 99% satisfaction and a solution that only satisfies 1%. And you want to gamble that your kid is that 1% exception.
So this teacher sometimes just loses consciousness and just becomes a conduit for ads. And one of these ads ends up being an ad for a Christian church. Okay? Remember, this is written on a script. And then the teacher, I'll have to make a video about this, but the teacher ends up giving a Christian ad. If you want to come to Jesus, visit our church and blah, 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 to a child, because it gives the ad automatically while she's at school. And she gets fired. Like the headmaster and everyone, unbelievable you would say something like that to children. So they think that come to Christ is unacceptable, obviously.
Are you... You're still talking about a Black Mirror episode? What?
Show made in England, the Caliphate. I feel for you guys. I feel for you. I promise. I feel for you, English brothers and sisters, British brothers and sisters. Anyway, so Christianity to a child, abhorrent. But this stuff is okay. That can lead to hormone therapy.
It can lead to hormone therapy. Yeah, if you go and consult a doctor with your parents, I guess. You know, like that's... Yeah, the same way learning about your leg bones might one day lead you to breaking a leg, and then you have to go to a doctor.
Therapy and surgery, come on.
Reminder, I have a free
PSA, unskippable cutscene.
Many of the topics I talk about here. I also give you morning updates about what's going on. It's a great place to get daily information from me.
Wait, thinking you're the opposite sex doesn't condemn you to death. Ebola does. How can this even be your example? Because I was trying to make it a stark example where for a specific situation, you can take an action that has a 99% success rate, or you can take an action that has a 1% success rate. And I gave Ebola because it's just another example where I'm trying to put you in the situation where you have to choose between two different medical interventions. And Ebola is a deadly one, so you have to choose one of these interventions, right? That's the purpose of the example. It's not to say that Ebola and being trans are the same. It's just to put you in a situation where you make a decision and you want to maximize the likelihood that it is the right decision. And the idea here that you would take, the 1% shot of success versus the 99% shot of success is just ludicrous. No one would do that.
There you go.
Not confirming gender identity kills kids. Yeah, kids who are not affirmed by their parents have a 14 times higher likelihood of committing suicide. Like, if you are a parent and you aren't like affirming your children when they tell you who they are, that raises their risk of suicide 14 times higher than it would be otherwise.
Profile, just go there, click that link. You'll see this.
Go there, guys. Awesome.
Drop your email in, hit subscribe, and you'll be good to go. Anyway,
check the ratings of the show. I think it's pretty low. I would certainly fucking hope so, man. I definitely would.
Absolutely.
And yeah. So that's it. We interrupt your programming to give you this other type of programming. Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah, we interrupt your entertainment to program you. And so that's pretty much where things are. And Creative a Kid Show, Netflix is silent, science deafening. Yeah, I mean, I think that a lot of people and a lot of parents probably just don't want their kids looking at this kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
And it's also like a lot of parents, it's not even that parents don't like want their kids to know about this at all. It's that they want to be the ones that talk to their kids about this, not like not this random guy, right?
That's the great thing, though. As a parent, you could have that conversation at literally any time prior to that child watching that show. Maybe as a parent, you should be more proactive than your school at teaching your kids about trans people existing and how to treat them with respect. Yeah, maybe you should, in fact.
The random guy with an agenda. A parent can absolutely teach their kids, hey, no bullying. No bullying. If another boy or girl, they look different than you, they talk different than you, don't bully them. You've got to be respectful, you've got to be a nice person, you want to be decent. You can teach that. And you can explain, as he was saying, age appropriately, about homosexuality, about all the rest that happens in the world. But this is not teaching them how to behave. This is teaching them to become the very thing.
I mean, they want to make sure that they're having this conversation.
I'm sorry. The idea that people in a cartoon being trans teaches kids how to trans themselves? This just isn't reflected in the work. It's not there. The idea that it would be is just not present. It's the product of a deluded mind. Which is, again, accurately describes both Metatron and Asmongold.
With their kids in a safe space where the kid understands what's going on, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And if anybody's going to tell their kid about this, it's going to be them. And so that's what I would really say more than anything. Unsubbing is not enough, needs to start a lawsuit against the clowns. I don't know about that. I mean, I'd have to really think about it. I mean, it's hard really for me to say, but I do think that it's very weird.
Okay, thank you very much, Asmon. Really appreciate that. Glad to see you back, brother. Also, I make amazing rings. I make this ring, I make myself. Bronze ring, amazing. In fact, let's go for an ad.
I'm good. This dude added literally nothing to this entire conversation. Why is Metatron's commentary treated like he's actually having a convo with Asmongold? I don't know. It's like he puts him up on a pedestal and thinks he's like good at arguing or something, and he's just not. But also, like, Asmongold was basically just yes-manning Asmongold the entire time. Like, he didn't add anything to this. The funny part is, Asmon isn't even good at commentary. Asmongold isn't even good at, like, most of his job. Zach is being, is bad at being a person. It's true. True. Alright. So, we're done with that. That took forever and a day to get through. That was only 24 and a half minutes. Believe it or not. This is why I don't do a ton of, like, Asmongold coverage on my channel, because the wrongness is so dense. It just takes forever to get through. You know, and Asmongold is usually just wrong in a boring way rather than wrong in an interesting way. You know, like a Rudyard type. And so, I don't know. This is all just horribly depressing that, like, these people are going around jerking each other off thinking they're, like, the intellectual elite of, like, the, I don't know, conservosphere, whatever you want to call it. And it's just sad as hell. Really, it's just sad as hell. Wait a minute. Addendum. That segment's not done yet. That segment is not done yet. Okay? I thought it was done, but silly me, I forgot that I had an entire other angle and reason to introduce this entire godforsaken segment. So you remember how in that video, Asmongold is like hovering on Elon Musk saying, you know, he's going to cancel his subscription to Netflix and everyone else should too. You know, like Vanity Fair ran a piece. Elon Musk vows to cancel Netflix over transgender representation. This was just from like last week, right? Musk has accused the streaming titan of grooming children with sexualized content in series such as Coco Melon and Strawberry Shortcake. Oh, these people are weak. Weak as hell. Just like, imagine having like mental injuries from Strawberry Shortcake. Are you kidding me? Or the Babysitters Club? It's wild. But basically, Elon Musk made this announcement that like, oh, yeah, we should all cancel Netflix. And then inexplicably, a whole bunch of people in the conservative influencing sphere wound up doing some redirects towards a different streaming website. Now, this different streaming website is called Angel Studios, and we've talked about them before. They did The Sound of Freedom. They've also done the Tuttle Twins. They are, in fact, founded by the guy who made the Tuttle Twins and his family. It's kind of like a family business, Angel Studios. And, you know, if you're wondering, why might all of a sudden a bunch of these conservative influencers be trying to get people to subscribe to Angel Studios? Why might that be, actually? And, well, fun fact for y'all. Let me pull this up real quick. Here's an article from back in 2022 from Utah Business. All right. GigaFund, Elon Musk's VC, backs Provo-based Angel Studios. And Elon Musk's venture capital fund helped Angel Studios raise $47 million. Okay, so Elon Musk's venture capital arm is already invested into Angel Studios. And as a result of, Elon Musk suddenly saying, oh, no, we can't have this woke indoctrination, suddenly a bunch of conservatives were calling on Elon Musk to buy Angel Studios for $1 billion, or to invest $1 billion into Angel Studios. And suddenly a bunch of people in the conservative media were advocating for people to unsubscribe from Netflix and subscribe to Angel Studios. 'Cause, it's interesting. It's just some interesting things, Just some interesting confluences, right? Bless their little hearts. So, it's just interesting that Elon Musk is just playing folks like Metatron and Asmongold for saps in order to drum up interest in essentially a fringe company that, you know, he owns a stake in already and might own a larger stake in soon. Seems like an interesting point we should probably touch on there. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and support the stream. There we go. We ended on the proper note for that segment.
Riverboat Jack is coming to town. All the viewers gather round. Twitch and YouTube is where she streams. All that content is bursting the scenes. Politics, gaming, plenty more. Her sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard. We're going straight to Jack's Discord. Riverboat Jack. Riverboat